We have Ender, who specializes in augmented reality, visual reality, as well as mixed reality. He is the guru in all of it. Ender, what are you guys up to today? Tell us more, please. Ender, over to you.
Thanks, Adam, for the question and the great sharing. Yeah, as we all aware that today there's a lot of innovation happens in broadcasting and media industry. As a VR AR company, we ourselves are also joining the growth force to bring our technology and solutions to accelerate how does people connect and communicate with each other. I believe that today we have been moving very far. I can guarantee you, Adam, that there's a lot of progress the team is making in this domain. But instead of telling you exactly where we are, I'd like to just share where all this motivation comes from. As we all know that people's motivation in building this more connected broadcasting, content creation, related ecosystem always start with a very single motivation, to be able to communicate over distance. And those motivations help us to develop the very first product that are able to deliver the message and starting to be deployed as a phone booth as a product. The phone booth itself is very limited. It is only able to do an audio encoding, transmitting over the cable network to another phone booth. So this is early stage of infrastructures, which was invented about 150 years ago, allows people to connect with each other with a very basic level of audio as signal. And of course, we start to look at something beyond audio. They look at something like an image. And that actually motivates us to develop more technologies, like a camera. Of course, the early stage of camera, you can see, it is very basic. It captures a black white, only have some very basic level. But as we move on, we also build more sophisticated specs, like 4K to 8K resolutions, starting from 30 frame rate to like 60 frame rate. Also nowadays, we have a video itself has been redefining, starting from just simple to something like 360 degree. So as we can all see that we are developing a lot of technologies into broadcasting industries to build content into the next level. And here's the thing that makes very interesting. As one hand, you can see there's a lot of technologies is actually being invented, but meanwhile, what we are lacking is how does people receive it. For example, this is the TV, which is considered one of the greatest inventions back to 20th century. And the TV brings all those content eventually delivered to a space that can be massively received. And what this should go beyond TV today, we see a lot of smart TV. You're able to capture all the content from the web, and they're taking the majority compared with content from the cable. And of course, there's a lot more comprehensive network happens on the satellite environment. So as a company like Starlink building all this connection to everywhere around the world, we see a lot more content being created by the professional team, but able to be streamed over the internet. So here's the interesting trend. The content creation industry has been moving into a very sophisticated stage. We have the full production studios. There's a lot of fancy, futuristic equipment that help you to create different type of content, and with even more like live video effects. On the other hand, you can see people using a lot more accessible technology given today's overall digital transformation. People are using laptop to join webinar. They're using a mobile phone to actually join the live video casting like TikTok or Facebook Lives. And how can we ensure those persons who are only using a very basic setup at home or anywhere they are able to reach something into a broadcasting level, creating more like green screen, virtual environment, or live 3D products so they can use it for more professional level of communication to actually reach the audience. And there's a huge gap. And how can we really ensure the gaps is being met? It's by looking into the technology that you have in hand, which is the phone. And so today, we have been working on a series of technologies focused on how does user, which are always rely on internet and mobile device, to be a part of this ecosystem to create professional content, engaging interactive content, and being able to rely on modern network, even like the growing 5G network, to deliver those content to the end user. And hence, we actually have our own product, which is called RealityCast. This product is the very first mobile-based broadcasting platforms, allow you to use a single mobile to actually eventually achieve a live AR broadcasting to a mainstream platform, like what we are doing today. And what it actually helps to cover is mainly transforming a traditional presentation, those webcam, webinar kind of experiences, into something that speaker have a full body standing and presenting the augmented reality element around you. What does those really benefit as a user, as a presenter? As you can see, we can do something definitely more beyond just an image. They allow you to be able to visualize a huge operations in front of you. Imagine that you want to present a latest product, that you want to show how the product really works in the actual working environment. So as a business presentation, there's no way for you to achieve this using a single webinar space, how it looks like. And besides this, you are also able to use technology to create something more creative. For example, you can easily embed a 360 or 3D avatar, which can be like performers to represent you as the AR avatars. And those technologies, you're able to deliver through AR, through live broadcasting. Imagine all these technologies requires people to know the basic of content creation. But luckily speaking, we are living in the world that there's a lot of internet-based SaaS level of platforms allow you to easily create content. You can imagine you have a team focusing on doing content planning. Meanwhile, you also have your field production team. They'll be using all these digital media like photos or camera system to create content and immediately bring over and should upload and synchronize with your team. And meanwhile, you have another group who are able to do those 3D works. So there are quite a series of web-based, SaaS-based, subscription-based platforms that allow you to create all this content, which means today's content creation is getting a lot more accessible to individual or smaller studios. And what we can actually help them to achieve is to ensure that all this content eventually build the whole ecosystem platform to achieve alternative solutions from the professional broadcasting studio, and which provide audience accessibility to technologies to create more engaging experiences using augmented reality. And that's where we are today, and we believe that we can push a lot more in the future in growing these trends. And thanks for your time, and here's Anders from Harvard Lab, have been building for augmented reality broadcasting. And back to you, Adam.
Well, thanks so much. And that was really awesome. I think next time I'm going to get an AR to present this entire webinar. And by the way, all that was done on a mobile phone. Okay, so if you want to know more about that, ask questions right now because I've got the iPad here with the pigeonhole. And I want to bring back our speakers for today. We got Rizky and Ender has been sharing with us so much great information. Welcome back, guys. Well, it's good to see you guys once again joining us back here. So we have lots of questions right now from our pigeonhole. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you guys these questions, okay? So I'm going to try to moderate and we'll try to get to as much questions as you can. This is the time for feel free to go into the Pigeonhole app, write down your questions. If you see a question that you like, you can upvote it, so that we can get to that as soon as we can. All right. And then the question for you is that what are you using for your camera tracking? Because earlier on, you actually showed us this table and all that. What were you actually using to film? Can you share with us, Ender?
Sure. Yeah, thanks, Adam. My voice clear?
Yes, all good.
Okay, good. So actually, everything I was streaming is just over a mobile phone. As you can see, this is actually the background just now I was showing. There's no setup at all. I'm just sitting in the corner of the office to use my phone to launch the RealityCast application. We actually covers the inbuilt tracking solutions, which is always based on the mobile SLAM system. So mobile SLAM means you are capturing the spatial information, which will tell you where the floor is, where the wall is, your AR object on top of it. So the whole system has been fully optimized. Works basically the chip, including the tracking, the capturing, the encoding, all instances have been processed effectively, so you eventually can reproduce the virtual elements frame by frame based immediately in the camera feed, and we actually can stream back. So in short, that there's no any other system we are using, just a mobile phone.
Wow, that is pretty awesome actually, because I think you guys have created this app called RealityCast, and if what we're hearing you correctly is that you actually produce the entire thing. Of course, content you got to do it, before that. Load it up into the mobile phone because it has all the gyros and all that kind of stuff, and just film it. I think it's a fantastic product. And by the way, if you want to find out more about Ender or Hyverlab, feel free to click the logo at the bottom of the screen. Get in touch with him because he's the genius in AR and VR. It's absolutely crazy. I absolutely love it. We want to talk about the calculated impact of using AR and VR. Does it really help to keep your audience online, or is it just good to have? What do you think, Ender?
Okay, I think for most of people, when you look at using AR and VR, they see it as an element in your webinar. Sometimes the people really see the immersive technology is a potential extension of interaction with the audience. I think from our perspective, after we work with quite a number of clients during the past 2 years, we do see that immersive technology providing an alternative event model, which means you will no longer be limited in the event. You can only do sharing, talking, slide screen sharing. You'll be able to do other type of event. For example, you want to have a product launching, want a product introduction. You want to actually break down your overall, panel discussion into segmented, focusing, product visualizations, which you are able to do something which you were never able to do. Then I think those are the potential benefit for AR, VR. So I think for us, we see a lot more of the trends. People are talking to us, say, I want to make a product launching event. Then they actually feel this event will be focusing on using AR, VR, because the whole show requires you to visualize different type of 3D products through the journey, which is unlikely you're able to even do it by using the traditional webinar systems. I think that's probably the benefit. And of course, if you look at using the technology within the event, you probably are able to not so successful experiences from a normal office environment, then definitely you can use these elements. Yeah, so that's what I feel.
I love that, and I think it really gives a new dimension as well. So it's not just about retaining audience, but it's really robot, so you can explain different parts of it. I think it's a fantastic technology that perhaps everybody can think about using. Next one, is there a lot of space? This I think for Ender, right? Is there a lot of space required for
AR and VR? The nature of immersive technology, we also sometimes call it spatial computing technology, which means you need to have some space to play around. Because if you simply think about placing an AR as a floating window in front of you without moving, it doesn't give audience any differential experiences in visualizing and looking around, having different perspective. So AR and VR basically give you additional dimension, which you need to move around. I think for the speaker perspective, having a space so allow the speaker to walk around with information happening around them, it definitely is essential. Of course, for audience, there's no such inquiry. They will view it probably at home. If you look at having AR elements, we also need to ensure that the elements is produced and planned based on small scale, because we can't really expect every audience have an event space to visualize it. So sometimes the content planning, you have to consider how the audience view it, and they might be viewing from the video feed. They might be viewing from scanning a QR code to actually capture or visualize some AR elements at home. But you also need to bear in mind that the space is different from a presenter and audience perspective. So how do you plan this?
Got it. Thanks so much, Ender. And by the way, you answered the next question as well. How do you get to experience that on site? Well, you know what? It's been so fun having everybody on board with us.
Bye-bye.